What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Napheesa, and we're back with another video. Today, we are talking about the Minnesota Lynx and another disappointing, heartbreaking ending to their season. Before we do that, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with your homies, share with your friends, share with your family. If you like listening to this type of content, let me know in the comments. Let your people know so they can find this content too. But let's get straight to it. Let me not waste nobody's time. The Minnesota Lynx lost last night to the Phoenix Mercury and the fourth game of the semifinals, and I don't want to say like disappointing. I would say more like heartbreaking than disappointing, just because of the way that the last two seasons have ended for them. We'll start with last season. Last season they went 30-10. Were the second seed, were arguably the best team that entire season. It was really up in the air with them in New York. They won the Commissioner's Cup championship last year. Got to the championship, lost in a very controversial ending. I've talked about it so many times, but if you don't know, there was a play late in regulation in Game 5 in New York where the Lynx were up. Stewie got the ball at the top of the key. She traveled. It was not called, and then she went into a shot. It was blocked by Napheesa Collier, but it was called a foul. They reviewed it. It was challenged. They reviewed it. Most people saw that it was not a foul and that it should be overturned. It was not overturned. Stewie would go on to knock down 2 free throws. And context, before that, she had missed 2 free throws. So it was basically like a make-up chance, make-up call, make-up opportunity for them to get those 2 points back. They were able to get those 2 points back. They didn't get a good shot at the end of the regulation. They ended up going to overtime. The Liberty ended up winning the championship. And it was just a very heartbreaking end to the season for the Lynx. Fee wasn't very happy in the press conference. Cheryl Reeve obviously wasn't very happy in the press conference. And as someone who I enjoy watching the Lynx, I root for the Lynx, but I wouldn't say I'm a Lynx fan or a Lynx stan or anything like that. But that is one of the worst ways I've ever seen, maybe the worst way I've ever seen a team lose a championship or lose an opportunity to be a champion. It was just 2 calls back-to-back that were clear as day on the same possession. And everyone's seen that it was what it was, and they just decided not to call it what it was. So obviously everybody was going into this season like, all right, this is their revenge season. Like, this is their chance to get it back, which, yeah, but also they shouldn't have had to. Like, let's just be honest about it. They shouldn't have had to because, they played better. They were the better team last year, or they were the better team in the finals. But it is what it is. At this point, you got to move on. That thing is over. So you get to this season. They start out the season undefeated for a good bit of it. So did the Liberty. Then the Liberty go through some injuries to Stewie and to John Quell. And they kind of slow down. And then there's teams like Phoenix and Seattle and Atlanta that are kind of battling with the Lynx as the Aces struggle. And the Lynx were really dominant. They did lose the Commissioner's Cup championship to Indiana in Minnesota without Caitlin Clark, which was a little bit of a cause for pause, but I think it was more of them just not playing their best brand of basketball that night. And I think that was maybe a little bit of foreshadowing to what could come in the playoffs. But they were so dominant that people kind of, I don't want to say overlooked it, but didn't really think too much about it. And then they were 24-4. Yes, I said 24-4. Which is insane to think about. They were 24-4. Fee got hurt, missed, I want to say like 9 games straight. I think she had missed like 1 or 2 before that, because I think she missed like 11 games total. And they ended the season 34-10. So in 2 seasons they went 64-20. In the regular season, at least. They went to a championship, went to Game 5. And then this season, they're coming into the playoffs. They were the 1 seed. They got the Valkyries in the first round. They got past them in 2, which was a tough 2. The first game, they kind of figured it out. But the second game was really tough. They had to win it on the last shot. And then they got to Phoenix. And Phoenix is one of those teams where when they're confident, that's when they're at their best. When they're in rhythm, that's when they're at their best. And Minnesota gave them a puncher's chance. I would say more than a puncher's chance. Gave them the advantage when they allowed Phoenix to come back in Game 2. If they could have closed out Game 2 and not allowed them to come back and get that comeback win. They were up 20, and it's the third biggest comeback in WNBA playoff history. If they held that and they go up 2-0, we don't know what happens in the series. They go up, or they lose that game. They're tied 1-1, and then Game 3 happens. It's a very back and forth game, very physical game. A lot of things going on both sides, both teams, both sides of the basketball as well. And we get to the end of the game, or close to the end of the game. Fee gets the ball at the top of the key. Well, kind of at the top of the key. She's dribbling towards the top of the key, and Alyssa Thomas reaches in, pokes the ball. But in doing that, once she pokes the ball out, she runs through, which, is kind of like a natural movement. She's trying to get to the ball. Fee's leg is planted. She runs into it. Fee's ankle twists, and then her knee also buckles a little bit. She was in obvious pain. So not only do they lose that game, they're also going to be without Fee. We just didn't know for how long. We didn't know if it was just going to be for 1 game, 2 games. And then obviously after that, the whole thing with Cheryl Reeve happened, where she kind of just lost it. And I can't say I blame her. I think it's a microcosm of a whole bunch of different things. I don't think it's just the fact that Fee got hurt or Fee got ran into. I think it was the physicality throughout the series. I think it was the fact that they feel they were cheated out of a championship last year. Like, they feel like they've been on the wrong end of a couple of plays and a couple of different things that could have changed the trajectory of this team and of their core. And then they had to play last night without Fee and without Cheryl Reeve because she was suspended. And now they are playing backs against the wall on the road without their best player, without their Hall of Fame head coach. And I would say they put up a great fight. Kayla McBride was fantastic. Courtney Williams had a big first half. Jessica Shepard was big. But outside of that, I don't think enough players stepped up and helped in the way that they needed. Dejanay Carrington was also out for most of the playoffs. She got hurt in the Valkyrie series. So she could have been a big help for them. Obviously, she wasn't able to play, so she couldn't be a help. But I think the word could be disappointed for some people. I don't think the players are disappointed in themselves. I think they're more disappointed in the outcome, if that makes sense. I feel like for them to go 64-20 with this core, with a team that people didn't really foresee being this good just a few years ago, it's really interesting to see what they became and how close they were to being champions and how close they were to being, solidified as one of those Minnesota Lynx teams that has won a championship. And Lord knows there's a bunch of them. So it is heartbreaking to me because they played such a good brand of basketball. They all played for each other. They all played through each other, with each other. They were great teammates on and off the court. They were sisters on and off the court. As everybody knows, with like stud buds and everything like that. Like, even when they were playing in Unrivaled, like, they still had camaraderie. Like, Courtney Williams and Fee were on the same team. Sometimes Napheesa Heidemann was there when she was a replacement player. So it's just it's definitely it's disappointing, yes. It's heartbreaking, yes. And the more heartbreaking thing about it is, like, we don't know what this team is going to look like next year. Like, I feel like the only player that you can say for sure is going to be back is Napheesa Collier. After that, I would say maybe Kayla McBride is in there too. But I don't think this core is going to look the same based off of how they talked last night and just how many free agents there's going to be. I will say the Lynx do have opportunity of getting a top 3 pick. They have Chicago Sky's pick from this year, which will give them, top 3, top 4 pick in the WNBA draft this year, which is kind of crazy considering they were the number 1 seed and the best team all season, at least in the regular season. So they could reload really quickly and be right back in this spot next year. You just really never know in sports. You just never know what's going to happen. We don't know the severity of Fee's injury. They said it's not a ankle fracture, but we don't know how long she'll be out, how long that recovery time will take. I'm assuming she would still want to play in Unrivaled if that's possible, or if the health requires that possible. But it is very, very disappointing. It's just far as like the outlook of the entire 2-year span of this team being together, them going to get Courtney Williams and then picking up Alana Smith, and Alana Smith winning a Defensive Player of the Year, and Fee winning a Defensive Player of the Year, being super close to an MVP. Like, there are just so many different things that the Lynx were on the brink of having, and just small things just took it away. Like Fee missing a certain amount of games took away the MVP from her, basically. Napheesa Heidemann didn't get Sixth Woman of the Year. Like, there's just so many different little small things that they look at and they probably feel a little bit slighted. But I would just say, like, I don't know what we're gonna see next year, so that's why I feel like this core is a heartbreaking ending potentially, but I feel like they should be celebrated as well. Like, I know people are gonna say, well, they didn't win a championship, so it doesn't matter. But with a team like this, again, I could go back and listen to the Hoodie and the Headband 2 years ago before the season, and neither one of us had them being contenders, or we said they were going to be, battling for a playoff spot. And I'm a fan of Fee, Alana Smith, and Kayla McBride going into that season, and I still didn't foresee them being a second seed and winning a championship. Now, once the season had started and saw how they were playing, they were my pick to win the championship, and they were my pick to be in the championship this year and win it too. I thought it was going to be a rematch of the Lynx and the Liberty. Obviously, some things, caused that not to happen, but I do feel like people are going to look back at this Lynx team and this Lynx core and be like, this was a really good basketball team, like top to bottom. Because outside of Fee, there wasn't a lot of crazy top-end talent like we see with some of these other teams that are competing for championships every year. Like, even the Phoenix team that they just lost to in the semis has 3 All-Stars, 3 Olympians. Now, granted, so does the Lynx, but I think the Lynx is more like they got the All-Star because they were on a team that was the #1 seed. And I don't mean that about Kayla McBride, because Kayla McBride is now a 5-time All-Star, but she was also a replacement All-Star. So I don't think they get enough credit, or they've gotten enough credit, and I hope they do get credit for what they accomplished over the last 2 years. And I hope they're able to look back and feel good about what they accomplished and what they did with the franchise and what they did as a team and as a group. Because last year was fantastic. This year was great too. It's just the ending wasn't what they expected or what they wanted. But I do think they can look back at this and feel accomplished and feel like this was a special group of players, whether or not they won the championship. Obviously, you want to win the championship at the end of the day. That's what sports is about. You want to win. But I think sometimes there's more to it. And yeah, it's just a really heartbreaking ending for the Lynx. But let me know how you feel. Let me know what you think about the Lynx and what they'll do next season. Let me know how you feel about the season ending as abruptly as it did, it seems like. Yeah, just let me know, and let me know who you think is gonna win tomorrow night with the Aces and the Fever in Game 5, and who will meet up with the Mercury in the finals, and then who do you have winning the finals. Let me know that in the comments. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be back with another one real soon.